And begin. Okay. As usual, I need to take a minute here just to get my setup set up. So, pop out the chat here so I can see if anybody joins the chat. Stream health, why is it orange? It's normally green, but it's orange. Okay, maybe it'll turn green later. And how do I find a link to this so that I can share it with peoples? I don't know. Just go to my YouTube channel and I will find it there. Really concerned. Sometimes I just hate computers. Okay. Gotta copy this URL. And I gotta tell people that starting part 2 over there. Go over here. Part 2 of the PiDP-11 build. Some Adobe thing popping up in my face. Okay. Okay. And then post it on the forum. Post. Posting reply. Okay, there we go. Finally, all of that nonsense that is required just to begin. And I really don't understand what stream health. This is orange. Oh, now it turned green. Okay, so since it turned green, I'm gonna say, here we go. Alrighty, so whatever. Hopefully this is actually coming through okay. You never know. This is the second and hopefully final day of the PiDP-11 build. Yesterday I got all of the diodes and resistors and LEDs installed and the connector on the back. One of the things I did not do though, because I only realized as I went to start doing this, is that the instructions begin with, whoops, wrong button. No, it's not the wrong button, it's totally the right button. I just need to find my mouse pointer. Yay, professional. There we go. The instructions start with this part, which is preparing the Raspberry Pi, and I did not want to live stream a bunch of me setting up a Raspberry Pi, so I skipped over that and I went on to soldering, and I got all the way down to the end of this LED step, and the next thing would be here. So today, before I started the live stream, I went ahead and set up the Raspberry Pi. So this is now running. That was a huge pain in the ass because there's not simply an image that I can install. I had to set it up with Raspbian and then run fetch a bunch of installation scripts and untar them and run them and all this other stuff. So that was kind of frustrating. But it's done. And so now I'm going to move on to the soldering and testing. So, oh, I forgot the gloves. I forgot the Mr. Lewis gloves. Very important. And then hopefully we can get this show on the road here. So we'll be back at this step. I need to put in the rotary encoders, and then we'll go from there. So, glove up. That's a good idea. Been working with the Kester 66 fully leaded solder, aka the good stuff. And I wish I could get these gloves in double XL because they run small. So I'm just going to be fighting with the gloves off camera. Okay, there we go. Cool. Move my parts tray over to where it needs to go, and let's take a look at the next set of instructions and see what we can see. Whoa. While being very careful not to dump everything. Alrighty, here we go. So solder the 2 rotary encoders flush against the PCB. Not tilted, they come with their pins bent. Just straighten the pins. The 2 side clips might need to be bent out a bit to fit the PCB easily. Encoders are delicate, the stem can break off. Okay, so let's do that in the usual way that I do these things, which is to wonder. First I'll find the rotary encoders. There they are. If I were a rotary encoder, I would be these guys. Okay, and where do they go? They go over there. And how do they go? Okay, 3 pins on the bottom. And let's just take a look here. Hey, I found a component leg. Always love it when there's sharp bits of metal lying around. Okay. I apologize, but human being needs extra light. So that's going to go in there. That's going to go in there. That's going to go in there. I think this is a little too fussy to do while trying to get it on the screen. There we go. I don't know. Didn't seem likely to break off to me, but what do I know? So I think you made the point that these need to be flush against the board, which I can totally get behind. And I think I will do that by, let's just switch on the soldering iron. Prop this up on this bin here. Looks good to me. Jesus. So I've had innumerable delays tonight in getting this started, but one of the most frustrating ones at the very end when I was ready to get started, I went over to my fancy 5K Retina iMac, which I normally have the YouTube stream on so that I can see the chat and such. And it did one of those things, you know, where it just kind of stops working. Like everything's still running, but you go to load a web page and it just spins. And then you're like, okay, what's going on? And you open up a terminal and you go to ping something and it just sits there. And then you hit Control-C, and of course it's in some kind of kernel wait, so you can't actually interrupt it. Control-C doesn't do anything. And then gradually, like everything you touch on the computer starts freezing. I love when that happens. So it chose to do that to me at this juncture, which did not make me happy. Once again, I'm going to do sort of lazy way of ensuring that this is flush against the board by doing 1 pin and then melting it while pressing from the other side. It looks flush to me. I'll do one up here. Technology. Same deal on the top. All good. And we can do the other pins. And then we do the mechanical connections on the side, which require a good amount of solder and thermal mass from the iron. There we go. Should keep those guys from moving. Looks good to me. And now the other one. Where'd the other one get off to? Like I put them both down on the desk. There it is. It was right there. It was right there all along. And you were there, and you were there. First one went in easy. It was deceptive. This one is bent all every which way. Since I don't have a spare, gotta be careful with these legs. Pusher. I have to do this in a different way so I can see what the hell I'm doing. Camera angle be damned. Come on. So yeah, nothing is ever easy. When I went to set up the Raspberry Pi, like I figured there would just be an image. Why is there not a disk image you can just install? So you have to go to the trouble of first installing Raspbian. There we go. And or whatever, but I assume that's, that's the distro that's most likely to work, because that would suck, like if you put that on and then the install script is assuming a different distro. And of course I went with Lite because this is a headless setup. I don't need to have the MITx Windows system. And yet, the install script assumed that I did. So line 20 tries to cat something into an LXDE directory that does not exist. If you install Raspbian Lite. So of course that crapped out halfway through and I had to edit the script and rerun it. And of course the documentation is in a Word file, which is just... Now it may sound like I'm complaining. This is one of the greatest things ever, and hats off to the creator of this wonderful project. And even though I did pay for the physical hardware, of course, and the price is incredibly reasonable that he's selling these kits for, and he doesn't owe me anything. Certainly doesn't owe me anything to do with the open source parts of it. I'm just relaying my experience so that I have something to talk about while I'm soldering. And don't mean it to sound like I'm ungrateful or unappreciative of the level of effort that's gone into this. That being said, it would have been nice if I could have just downloaded an image file and burned that onto an SD card and been ready to go. And I thought as I was doing that, when I finished setting mine up, and I haven't done anything with it yet, I should probably create an image, and then I could offer that to other people. Did I do that? No. Why did I not do that? Well, partly because I would have had to take the time to do it. And I wanted to get moving with this. It's now almost 9:30 and I have barely started. And I have a lot of switches to install. Okay, so that's that part. That's the rotary encoders. And now put the IC in the socket, which I did. And then it says, here, I'll turn the fan off. It says before you mount the switches, some testing. So at this point, I should be able to go over to my Raspberry Pi and turn it off, and I will bring it over. Just have to get it from where I've attached it to a monitor on the other side of the room. For the initial setup. Turn my microphone inside out while I was reaching across the table. Apologies for the noise. Okay. All right, there's the Raspberry Pi all set up. Okay, and then it goes on the other side of the board. So you'll see that it is a good idea to insulate the top of the metal USB and Ethernet connectors with a bit of cardboard or plastic. They're very close to the PCB. Yes, I can see that. So, yeah, so we don't want those to short anything out. I mean, sorry, again, I'm getting paranoid about this microphone because it's clipped onto a t-shirt. So, yeah, so I could insulate it with a bit of cardboard or plastic, or I could use the correct tool for the job, the 3M Super 33 Plus. Okay. I'm going to cut my electrical tape with scissors. I have a new appreciation every time I do something like this for what a pain it is to try to do anything with gloves on. Jeez. As I said last night, I'm deliberately wearing these gloves as a fashion statement because I feel like the cool kids wear the Louis Rossmann black gloves when they solder. I cut this piece of tape slightly too small, and owing to laziness, you know what? There's a point where even I am not that lazy. That should work better. Just didn't want to deal with it. Ah, this is hard because, you know, the gloves. Gloves. There we go. I could trim that afterward. So, get another couple pieces. Uh-oh. Isn't this fun? For those who have just tuned in, this is the Chris Masto peeling electrical tape off the roll with gloves on channel. One of the top YouTube channels on the internet. If I'm not careful with this tape, then I will drop it onto this piece of chipboard that I'm using here to reduce the glare from the lights. And the chipboard is incredibly dusty. The dust will get all over the tape, and the tape will not be sticky, and the world will blow up, and now everybody's dead. So I'd better be careful. All right, there. I've successfully managed to kind of sort of stick some tape on there, but I'm not happy with the aesthetics, so I'm going to try to trim it while everyone else has to wait. You know what? Screw this. Change tools. I'll use my not favorite side cutters. I have a rule that the Knipex only gets used to cut component leads and never anything else. Which is why I have a lot of other side cutters. There we go. Now this is stuck to my stupid gloves. I'm a very stupid person. Okay, just cut a little off the back. Oh, please, please don't have left any exposed metal. Alrighty, I'm not going to do that over, so it is what it is at this point. Okay, any second now, I will attach the Raspberry Pi. Whoopsies. There we go. Just needed to change the font size on my other computer. All right, here we go. Back to the project. Done faffing around with tape. Sometimes magic sounds like tape. That's my favorite Amazing Jonathan's quote. Amazing Jonathan quote, line, thing, saying, phrase. Man, I've started this tired and babbling. Okay, there's hair on here. Someone is shedding. Okay, and I can't get rid of that. Okay, the Raspberry Pi is attached to the back. Geez, that took a long time to do a trivial thing, didn't it? All right, the next part of this project is going to be to hook the thing up, turn it on, switch it on, boot it up, make it go. How do I choose to do that? I think I choose to do that by turning on my bench power supply and using my trusty USB adapter. It should be right here, this thing. And then I need a USB cable that I can use. There we go. This one. So I can get five and some volts out of there. Really should be as much as possible. 5.2, I can do 5.2. Okay, so unfurl this, plug it in, plug this into the Pi, on the back, like that. I might even plug in the Ethernet, just cause. Okay, now what's supposed to happen? I guess if I turn this on, something should happen. On. Always get suspicious when it's not actually drawing any current. What is the matter? That's plugged into there. That's plugged into there. Let's give it a 3 amp limit. Why not? On. Nothing. A blip. Got a little blip and then it stopped. If I disconnect it from the board, like I'm missing something trivially obvious here. That is connected to power in. Did anything happen? I wasn't looking. Don't see any lights or anything. Huh. That's weird. That just strikes me as weird. It feels like bad cable, maybe. Some sort of bad connection here. Oh, there we go. Oh, so this is loose. Well, doesn't that suck? Huh. Whose fault is that? All right, we will try another approach. I have more of those. Even better. No, not even better. No. I know I have one right here because I keep. There we go. Oh, that's even better. Yes, that is better. So I have this adapter, so I can, instead of having this whole assemblage, we can remove this rigmarole, which seemed to be a bit loose. And instead of using that guy, which will have to be reconsidered in the future, we will just plug the bench supply into this, and this gives us a micro USB, and we'll plug it in there. Always the third way around, and that feels really loose, which is great. You gotta love these loose connections. Okay, and let's turn it on now. Boom. She's booting. I'm going to turn it off before it gets any further. And now we'll go back to this. Plug it back into the board, and now we should finally see some friggin' blinking lights here or something. Come on. Don't be difficult. Okay. Pi is on the board. 3, 2, 1, power. Okay, now it is booting. Goody. So what does it say on the website will happen? It says you should see all the lights light up once booting is completed. So that would be the first test. Hey, I've seen some lights light up. And I've seen more lights light up. It's not all the lights. And some are brighter than others. So maybe it's not done booting yet. Yeah, I don't know if that's visible. Maybe I can turn this off for a second. Yeah, camera's sort of picking that up, right? These three are very bright. These two are very bright. The rest of the ones that look on here are very dim. This column is off, and this one are off. So that is not what I would call 100% successful in terms of lamp test. So the question now, this will be more fun, I guess, to troubleshoot this thing a little bit. I assume it's fully booted. I will find out in a second. Let's do this. Go over to the desktop. Go over here. Like reconnect type of a deal. Oh, there we go. Oh. Try again. I hate PCs. I hate putty. I hate everything. What are you doing? Ah! It's extra hard to type with gloves on. Really? You don't... Oh, you piece of shit. Oh, come on. I had that IP address in there so that I... Mommy. Is there a history here or something? I didn't save it. I didn't save it. I hate you. I hate everything about you. This evening is not going to go well. I can just tell. I can just tell. Shit. What do I do now? I can't do a clean shutdown because I can't SSH into the thing. I don't know the freaking IP address. I don't have a monitor in reach that I can hook up. God, it's just so annoying. You know what? I think I might be done with this. I think I might actually be too frustrated to continue. 9:37. God damn it. Just accidentally closed that window. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back and look at my... There it is. Now I have the address from my YouTube stream from a few seconds ago. So take that. Take that, cruel universe. You thought you could mess with me, but you can't. You can't mess with me that easily. Ha! Of course, you've forgotten your settings. I had changed this font size so that it would be easier to see, because, you know, I wouldn't want any of these things to be persistent. That would be too convenient for me. So temporarily. Okay, so here we are. We're back. We're back at the console, and the only reason for being back at the console was, I can't remember. I think I was just going to shut it down. So... was I? No, I wanted to see if it was fully booted. That's why. That's why I went to the console. Okay, so yeah, clearly this is not working correctly. See that I've lost most of my audience during that stupid outburst. Okay, well, let's see if Oscar's got any troubleshooting advice here. I guess I could I guess I could do some of the next step. I was really hoping I didn't make any mistakes, but because it's not like they're going to be interesting mistakes. It'll be, I put something in backwards, probably. All right, what do we do here? Lights should go off if I were to short the upper two solder holes of the test switch footprint. Where's the test switch? Is that the test switch? I think that might be it. Test switch over here. Well, I don't know. Nothing happened. Short the upper two solder holes of the test switch footprint. You can do no damage. Most LEDs will go off. Oh, I got something. This wasn't. Most LEDs will go off. Well, I don't know, man. All right, let's see if I can figure out what I screwed up here. That'll be the next part. I should maybe have some way to mark, well, so that try to remember this. The LEDs that are off are the ones above switch SR5. So that'll be, I guess, the first thing. I'll try and figure out why that column is not lighting up. So let's go back to here. Oh, I didn't have it on camera. I apologize. I'm losing my grip here. Shut this off first. Shut the power off. Move some things out of the way. Okay, go back to here. Alrighty, so what did I say? I've already forgotten. SR5. So these three LEDs were not lighting up at all. So if I take the Raspberry Pi off of here, for a start. Make sure when removing your Raspberry Pi, try to bend the shit out of the header, if at all possible. Okay. Just gonna be mumbling to myself. All right. Take this little guy off. All right. Cover removed. First things first, visual inspection. Check for anything obviously wrong. I don't see anything obviously wrong. Okay. So that being the case, I don't imagine these rotary switches should have had any effect on that, right? I hope not. Don't know what they do. No, I guess not. Address and data. Okay. Here, let's do some of the obvious things. Power supply set up here with nice current limit. So channel 1, I will set my power supply to whatever. It's 3 volts, but I want to do 20. Nah. Okay. What I want to do is just take one of the spare LEDs. Here, I should probably do this where it's visible. So I'm going to take one of the spare LEDs and I will connect positive to the long side and negative to the short side, and it lights up. So I know that I'm using my power supply correctly. And now let's just try the same thing on the board. We know that the long lead is on the left from this side. So with one of the ones that we know works, I'm just going to go from behind here. So it's really physically awkward for me to do this and make it in any way visible because I can't see the other side, but so you can see that lighting up. Good. So now let's test the row that wasn't working just to make sure that it's possible that coincidentally I put an entire row of LEDs in backwards. Seems extremely unlikely. So that one is working, and the one below is working, and the one below that is also working. So the problem is not that the LEDs are in backwards. And then if I could remember which two didn't work over here, I'm just going to do a quick test on all of these just to confirm that's not the problem over there either. Okay. So once you have tested the trivially obvious, you might be forced to look at the schematics. Let's go over here and view the troubleshooting. What happened? I didn't do that. What the fuck? Troubleshooting doc. Okay. Whole series. I mean, it's a column, but LED row pin. Okay, fine. Vertical column. Similar problem too. There must be a bad connection between a column pin on the pi header and the rightmost lead of the problem LED. Okay, simple enough. So where's the schematic again? Where's the schematic? I've really spent no effort looking at how this thing works. Only so many ways to multiplex a bunch of LEDs, so I guess try to open this. Don't know how to open this file. Click, 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 click. What do you do here? Oh, zip. Okay. Right click, nothing. Download. Okay. Okay. Sure. Fine. Board layout would be more useful. This is an SVG. I don't want to open it in Internet Explorer. I don't want to open anything in Internet Explorer ever. Okay, so let's first just look at this, and I think the problem was the LEDs that are like above SR5, right? So that would be these. Is there Super is the name of one of them. Super A5 and D5. So let's go back to the schematic if I can find it. Super. LED, here we go. LED. Is that column 7? No, I see super over there. Oh, that's resistor. I'm having trouble reading these labels. I'm having a lot of trouble reading these labels. Thank you, EagleCAD. Hey, Bob Flanders. That's okay. I'm troubleshooting this. I have a column of LEDs. I have a couple problems. Column of LEDs that's not lighting up, and then a couple other ones that are lighting up like double brightness. So I'm just trying to make heads or tails of the labels on this schematic. Are any of these labeled? Yeah, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. That's... All right, A5 and D5. Ah, and super, there it is. So, no, it's not, actually. Wait. Oh, the labels are on top. Okay, so super... Does this make any sense? This one says super on the top and LED 27 on the bottom, but here it says LED 21, A17. I'm all confused. A5, okay. So I think it's column 5 anyway. I feel like it's column 5. I'm just going to go with column 5 because honestly, at this point, does it even matter? I can just exhaustively test them all. So how does this thing work? So wish I'd paid attention to how this thing works. So does col 5 go to pin 26 through R6? I don't know, man. I don't know. Competence. I don't think I'm going to be doing much soldering tonight. Oh, I have some, how does this work? I have some software for my, is it Siglent software? How does this work? I have the ability to overlay my multimeter on the screen, but I haven't used it in so long. Yes, I want to allow this app from an unknown publisher to make changes to my computer. Glorious. Okay, is that capturing this? No. No properties available. Oh, here we go. DMM overlay. There we go. Ah, it's picking it up. Okay, cool. So now, why is the overlay not working? Because it was hidden. Is it unhidden now? It's unhidden now. So what would happen if I were to press start? Ah, look at that. Regular Lewis Rossman here. Okay, so, but apparently you can't, apparently you have to stop this in order to change. Oh, that's right. This is this thing where it grabs control, and I cannot remember which button I have to press. Local. There we go. Continuity. Start. Yay! That's the most exciting thing in the world. Now I've totally forgotten what I was doing. But at least I got that. Yeah. So, yeah. So what did I say? I said I thought that column 5 went through R6. Since I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I do know where R6 is. And that is, in fact, measuring 390. So if that's R6, this is the second one from the bottom. On my left now. I should have some kind of wayfinding here, because I think this is the one that I'm having trouble with. I don't know. I was hoping there would be some obvious path between some of these things. I feel like I'm lost at sea here. Because I'm not sure what I'm doing. Let's look at the board layout. Maybe it'll make it more obvious if I look at the board layout. So the problem I have is with this column, Super A5, I want my mommy. I need to get a little piece of colored tape or something that I can put on this so when I flip it over I don't lose track of where I am. I've got to have things like that here somewhere. If I were tape, where would I be? Tape. 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 Tape, tape, tape. All the tape I have is black. Just masking tape. Oh, here we go. I have some blue painter's tape. Great. I will use the blue painter's tape to mark the column I'm having trouble with. I feel very stupid tonight. I think this is part of the problem. I'm just extra stupid. Sometimes I'm not a stupid person, but tonight I'm kind of dull of wit. Alrighty. So our problem was with these. Put this little flag here. Fold it over the top. And hopefully it'll be obvious on the other side what that's intended to point to. Not really. All right. I'll just have to remember that it's sort of to the right of where it needs to be. So, so much shit in the way. Oh, man. It's actually easier to just follow this on the board, I guess, than to try to look at that Eagle board layout with all the layers on. I don't like the looks of that. It feels like I somehow lost a pad. But I didn't. And besides, that's on the row side. So just to confirm, we have continuity there. I think I can hold that up there more easily. And then this goes where? It goes around through there? Oh, that one looks like I might have failed to solder something. I think there's my problem. All right, well, I mean, could anything be easier? I literally missed soldering a pin. So, of all the problems that I could have, that is a great one. Because it is super easy to fix. So much for the first thing I did, right? Visual inspection. Ha! Visual inspection, my ass. I didn't catch it. So we'll just fix that real quick and then give it another test. I imagine that's not the only problem. I feel like I had more problems than that. Yeah. I said that's really not obvious. From this angle. Just going to touch all these up, because who knows what I was... One of the reasons it's not obvious from that angle is because I was looking at the wrong one. Don't fix what's not broken, or I'll run the risk of breaking it. So let's try this. I will try again from the top. Take the Raspberry Pi, attach it to the bottom of the board. Reattach the Ethernet for ease of shutdown testing. I think there might have been some additional test modes I could have run too. Power on, see what happens. Fingers crossed. Some stuff is lit up. I think these are the ones that were lit too brightly. Oh look, all the rest are on. So I do have all lights on. I don't know if that can be seen on the camera here. Let me try something. Again, turn that light off. There we go. So, oh. All right, all the LEDs are on, and interestingly enough, when I set this down on the table, it was causing some of them to light up extra bright. I don't want to keep doing that, but there's clearly something going on there. Is it a matter of what was causing that? Flexing the board? Or was there possibly just some loose? Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, that happened repeatedly, but I think there's just some little bits of solder or component leads on my desk. I put this down on top of them, so goes to show you how easily you can short something out. No, that's not the problem, is it? No, it's not. I would like to get to the bottom of that, because if something's shorting out, I mean, I put tape on here, electrical tape, so that I wouldn't have this kind of problem. I suppose it could be, I don't know, some sort of static issue. Nope, there we go. I managed to reproduce it. So when I bend the Raspberry Pi, the top of it up, that's when I get all right. It's I mean, oh, okay, I see what's going on. I think not enough insulation. All right. Anyway, I think we're good. We're good modulo having to stick something. I put electrical tape on the metal parts of the Pi, and that was clearly not enough, because some of these snipped component legs are very, very pointy, and I think they're piercing the tape. So maybe I should fix that and then come back to this. But how? Interestingly enough, earlier when I opened the Raspberry Pi, I was perplexed by this. There's a piece of paper in the box, right, that just has a barcode on it. And it's a nice piece of cardstock, so maybe I'll use that as a makeshift insulator. Foolishly doing this while everything is fully powered up, because, you know, I totally need to do that, right? It'll take 2 seconds to shut it down. Here, I'm going to do this right. I'm going to take 2 seconds to shut it down, and hopefully this time I can reconnect my putty session without screwing everything up. Log in as Pi. There we go. Sudo power off, or power odd, if that's your thing. Okay, we've done that. Now I can disconnect this, or at least make enough room to slip the paper in without worrying about it. There we go. Yeah, and that's heavy cardstock, so unless those legs pierce that, we should be fine. So I can now turn my power supply back on. Isn't this fun? I bet it's as much fun to watch as it is to experience. It's now after 10 o'clock and I haven't soldered a single switch. So my dreams of having this completed tonight somewhat shattered by missing a solder joint and not realizing that that thing was shorting out. Man, I'm just getting tired. Okay, so the next step. Let's go to the next step in troubleshooting. How about that? Not troubleshooting, testing. We have no troubleshooting to do. There is no trouble, so don't need to shoot it. Now I'm supposed to short the upper 2 solder holes of the test switch footprint. Now I kind of get the idea here as well. So I was trying to do it my way, and there are some issues with doing it my way. So I think this was a good way. I can stick a little bit of wire in here. I find the right length. Clipped all these things off, so I got a huge selection of them. Find a relatively short one. And I bet if I give it a little bend, then I can get it in. In fact, I'll use some tweezers. See if I can slip it in there between. No, that's not nearly enough of a bend. I was imagining something, but what I imagined was not even close to reality in terms of what I'd be able to do. Okay, so this is probably closer to reality. I want to short that to there. Okay, cool. So many of the lights went out, but certainly not all of them. There. Sticking that in there, and I'm thinking like, oh, it's going to stay because there's a bunch of friction on there, but no, it's not, because I'm a moron. Maybe I should just attach that switch. No, you can't. You have to do the whole jig. Okay. Come on. Come on, be friends with me. Something go right. Please. Something be easy here. There. I've actually managed to wedge that in properly. Got an itch. Always get an itch when you're wearing these gloves. Okay, so that's what's happening with the test switch shorted. And now see if the, I don't know, is that enable halt, ENA halt switch works. Let me just SSH back in here again, because that's part of the test. Oops. Really hard to type the password. There we go. Okay, now what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to short the top 2 pins of the NL halt switch, and then the lights should stop blinking, I guess. And then I'm supposed to see something happen. Nope. Check your terminal. The blinking stops and you should see the SimH command prompt. I have had trouble making contact with these things, so I'm going to not assume that it's a failure. There we go. That worked. So as you can see, I got simulation stopped. I got the prompt. So that worked. And then the cont switch. So that should go back to blinking. There we go. That did work. Lastly, turn the 2 rotary encoders and check that the light scrolls through the group of LEDs next to them. So let's see what we got. Oh, cool. I knew there was some test involving these. Yep, that works perfectly, as does this one. Cool. So I only had one tiny problem. I just missed soldering one pin. And that blew like an hour plus. So it's soldering time. I should probably shut this down again. Control-A-D, sudo power off. Okay. I'm just going to turn off some of this equipment because it makes noise. Move some of the unnecessary cables out of the way until we get to the next troubleshooting session. I do tend to get frustrated. There we go. I get frustrated whenever I feel like I'm running out of time. Yeah, I can clearly see what happened here. I mean, this is pierced right through the tape in a couple places. So, yeah, that was not a brilliant idea. I'm like, oh, I'm so much smarter. Why would you use plastic or cardboard? Because you need to. Okay, so now I no longer need my little tape flags. See if I can get that off. This tape stuck to this board much better than I wanted it to. You know, you lose like a minute just doing this. Okay. Prepare the case for mounting. Yay. Take the acrylic panel. Acrylic panel. Remove the disposable cover film on the front, not the white paint on the back. Place the panel in the case and use the 5 brass hex spacers to screw it into place firmly. Now here's what's going to happen next. I don't know why I have to do this in this order, but it's probably the right thing to do. I'm just concerned that all of the dust from this chipboard that I'm using here will get onto my nice, pretty front panel. So I might have to sacrifice camera quality. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a couple real quick things. One is I have all kinds of little bits of solder and stuff on here, so I'm going to vacuum that off real quickly. This will be loud. Okay, I'm going to take this away. So I'll get glare from the desk, but significantly less contamination on this nice front panel. That's just the way it's going to have to be. So. All right. Let's see if we can peel this. Spent a lot of time peeling plastic off of laser cut acrylic. Even have a film peeling tool. Okay. This is some kind of YouTube fetish video. Should have done it more slowly for cable sasser. All right, there's the front panel. So what do we do now? We place the artwork, place the panel in the case. Assume from the back. I imagine it would just go like so. And use the 5 brass hex spacers to screw it into place firmly. Hex spacers are the things with a screw on one end and a hole on the other. Hex spacers are the things with a screw on one end and a hole on the other. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. They are sometimes difficult to get in. Be patient. Tip if necessary, temporarily. Oh, tip if necessary, colon. Temporarily put the M3 bolt into them. Now you can use a screwdriver. When the hex spacer is in, tighten it with pliers. Don't scratch the panel though. Then unscrew the bolt whilst fixing the hex spacer with the same pliers. Okay. Right, there's metal inserts there, so duh. I was like, what am I going to screw those into? So there was a lot of words to say to screw these things in. I'm okay with that. You can see why he says it's difficult. I think I actually have this is one of those situations where if you have enough bits, enough sort of screwdrivers lying around, eventually you might actually find, what are the chances that I can use one of these guys chances are getting lower and lower. Hey, look at that. Wow. So I have this bit which fits over that hex spacer perfectly. And then I can attach that to this driver. Crazy drivers. And I can congratulate myself on my smug arrogance of having the right tool for the job. Okay. Put them all in relatively loosely to start. I'm going to assume these don't need to be very tight anyway, but just to snug them up. Should help make sure the front is flat. Wobbly. Cool, let's see what it looks like right now. Oh boy. Shiny. Okay, now the key switch. Mount the key switch. there's the key switch. In its place on the acrylic panel, use the matching nut to secure it in place. Tighten reasonably firmly, but do not scratch the acrylic panel with pliers. Tip, cut out and use a bit of the disposable cover film that you peeled off the front of the panel so that the nut of the key switch does not scratch the panel artwork. So what he is suggesting is, because the artwork's on the back, so to avoid scratching that, you could put something under it. I really don't want to spend time on that, but it's probably a good idea. Well, actually, I was worried that I have to cut the hole, but it's already got the hole, so that makes it super easy. So yeah, perfectly happy to do that. I mean, it would have been nice to mention that earlier in the instructions. This would be my GitHub pull request that I might be making. Just tell people ahead of time. Hint: save the film. You will be using it. Okay. So yeah, if I put that down there, then it's not going to be visible from the other side, but it will prevent scratching. That's a good tip. I like that tip. Put that through. Put the nut on. I thought this was going to be all soldering tonight, but so far, troubleshooting followed by mechanical assembly. I think after this, there's a bit of soldering. Okay. Now, do I care about the orientation of the key switch? I think I do. So let's see if we can understand that. There's the key. So I think it's a two-position thing, and I think the labels here, I can't see that on the camera. This would be useful to say in the instructions what to do with this, but it says power, lock, off. I'm not actually sure. Do I want the two positions to be power and off, or power and lock, power and, I don't know. If it were like this, then I don't know. This is it's a bit of a puzzler for me because I don't know how the PiDP-11 key switch normally works. So, is there a picture I can use on the website? No, maybe. I know there's a section about hooking the switch up. Power, key switch, power header. I don't know. I would love to see a high-resolution picture of the front of this thing. Intro? Are there any better pictures? No? Click picture to zoom. Okay, I guess one really doesn't care then. Since this is just sort of jammed at a random angle. So I will jam mine at a similarly random angle, and then if I end up caring a lot later, then I'll go back in and I'll move it. I don't think it's going to be irretrievably locked into position, so sort of put it like that. It's just I feel like turning it to off would be a logical thing. Or then maybe the original, maybe the real PiDP-11 had like more positions in this simulator that he just didn't want to make a, you know, who's to say you can even buy a key switch that has that much you know, functionality for any reasonable price. Now I need to get a different pair of pliers. They're only on the other side of the room. Behind some garbage. These the ones I want? Yeah, these are the ones. Yep. Okay. This is where it would be useful to have some key switch experts. All right, I don't want to tighten that too much because I don't want to break the panel. But it does have to be resistant to the 200-pound gorilla. Yeah, I don't know. Close enough, man. All right, key switch installed. I think we're getting close to the part where I can go back to doing some soldering, even though I've reached my cutoff time and I haven't started yet. Okay, building instructions, scroll down. Preparing the case for mounting. We did that. Didn't scratch the artwork. Didn't squeeze the Charmin. Toggle switches, on and off, momentary switches, spring back, solder the right switch into the right place and put the switches in with the right direction. Some of them click up, some click down. The switch bracket has labels to remind you the switch bodies will go into this bracket and the bracket stays on forever. There is a second narrower bracket. Let's call it the switch fixer. Hi, switch fixer. You should snap it off the other bracket now. I am snapping it off the other bracket now. I'm going to snap it off with snippers. Where did I put them? Remember earlier? There we go. This is part of the rule. Gotta use these, not the Knipex. Okay. Snip. 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 Okay. I did what you said. I did it now. Can I put this case away? Do I need this for the next part? Put it away. Right. So switch bracket is the big one. Switch fixer is the smaller one. Preparation steps. Its purpose is to be pressed on top of the 30 switches, forcing them into neat alignment, and then it's removed again. Okay. Sounds cool. Preparation steps. Prepare all the switches by checking. You may need to bend the outer pins of some switches in a tiny bit before they fit nicely in the PCB. Some builders reported that the solder lugs on switches had oxidized a bit, making them hard to solder. If you have that, scrape their sides with a knife. That's sufficient. If the pins are hard to solder, you need to apply the soldering iron for a long time and risk overheating the switches. Indeed, we don't want to do that. Sometimes a blob of glue around their pins, the blob of glue is a bit much, preventing them from to sit in line with the others. Some builders insist on using their side cutter or box knife to cut off a bit of the glue blob, but do not overdo it like some in the past have done. If you treat more than 4 switches this way, you are certainly overdoing it. Pick the 4 worst offenders after visual inspection and leave the rest in peace. Really, treating 1 or 2 should be enough even for the perfectionist results. Doing nothing is fine too. This is feedback from Saturday. Note that the switch bracket has 28 holes plus 2 side cutouts. There are 30 switches. During soldering, the switch bracket should be pushed towards the top of the switch bodies to provide maximum guidance. It is not there for structural strength, just as a soldering aid. Once everything is done, you should pry it down onto the PCB again. All right, we will revisit these instructions after. First of all, I'm going to put this cover back because I had forgotten. I took this off while we were troubleshooting, and I think this might help protect the LEDs from bad times, just getting pushed out of alignment. Okay, and now what's the dealio with this switch situation? I have all my switches in the tray. And let's examine one of these switches. I'm looking for a glue blob. Are you talking about this glue blob? What is the blob of glue around their pins? Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not going to touch it, honestly. I'm not inclined to do that kind of thing. So, there are my switches. I'm not going to sit here bending all of the pins. I don't feel like that's... I'll bend them if I have to bend them. Like this one, I might have to bend. But we'll see if I regret this. But I really feel like I can just start on this. So, sorry for the microphone noise. Let's go to the next part of the instructions. This has to be done neatly in a straight line. Below is the fail-safe procedure, and thus it is described in excruciating detail, but don't be a perfectionist. You'll always have some slightly varying space, okay? The whole text from the exhaustive detail written for the lowest common denominator in skill sets, knowing that some builders get obsessed regarding precision. To be honest, I plug in all 30 switches, press the switches in using the 2 brackets and the zip ties, look for switches that need some further wiggling and to fall in line. Solder them up, that's it. Yes, but you have extras. Step 1. All right, so I'm still the whole switch bracket thing is confusing me. Oh, I left this piece of wire in there from before on the test switch. That would have confused the hell out of me. All right, let's do it this way. So we're going to push the 2 purple toggle switches into the left and rightmost of the 28 slots of the switch bracket. So not the 2 outermost ones. It says the 2 outermost ones. Okay, so here we go. This is pretty clear. It says that you can't read this, but it says tog per and tog per on the two outermost complete ones, not the end ones, which are different. Tog red. So now, are there different of these? That is clearly toggle. Are all of the purple toggle? I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so as the legend tells you, the left-hand one will be mounted so that you can push it up, and the right-hand one upside down so you can push it down. Okay, and these are labeled tog per. So I'll push up on the left side and then push down on the right side. So I think what he's saying is put that in there. I kind of remember this now. It's been a long time since I did the PiDP-11. Push that onto the bracket. Is there a picture? There is a picture. Here's a picture. What's going on in that picture? Okay. So I was confused because, like, the way it is right now, you can't really toggle the switch because this bracket's in the way. So it might be possible to push it further so that, no, it's not. That's as far as it goes. How do you toggle this with the bracket in the way? That's the switch. And then with the bracket there, like that, can you actually toggle? You can't toggle the switch with the bracket on it. I am confused. Let me double check that I got the correct brackets. Switch fixer. Switch bracket. Switch bodies will go into this bracket and the bracket stays on forever. Well. All right, let's see, maybe it starts to make sense a little bit later. So this one would be toggled down on the right side. Okay. So what he's saying is you put those in and then mount the bracket with the two switches into the PCB. So that's the second one in. This is going to take a while. This is going to take a while. Oh, fiddly. Talk about fiddly. Okay. Nope, now I'm in the wrong hole. There we go. Need more light. This blackboard. Okay. So this needs to be bent out a little. Oh my goodness. Get the right tool for the job. Now it needs to be bent in a little. Now it needs to be bent in a little more. Just one. There we go. Yay! Got one in. And now can I get the other one in? I'm not exactly following the directions, but as long as it's going through the bracket, I can't see why it would be a problem. Yeah, it'll obviously get easier once those are in. Okay, so I guess that bracket is not going to be up against the switches. It's going to be down on the board, so that would still allow it to work, right? Purple up, purple down. Golly gee, that was time consuming. But now that those are holding the bracket in, I'm supposed to put all 30 switches in, fitting them through the switch bracket. You'll have to prod the switch bracket up now and then. When you say prod the switch bracket up, I don't know what he means by you'll have to prod the switch bracket up now and then. What was that other thing it said? During soldering, the switch bracket should be pushed towards the top of the switch bodies to provide maximum guidance. Okay. So yeah, I guess what he's saying is, like, as you do this, you put these in, you're going to end up naturally pushing it down, and you'll have to put it back up. So these are all, again, toggle purple, toggle purple. I'm not really going to worry about this thing falling down. I will adjust it later. Now we got toggle red, so I got to be careful here to get the correct type of switch. I guess I could have sorted them. Toggle versus momentary. There's a momentary red. I'm going to set those aside as I encounter them. Another momentary red. There's a toggle red. That's going to go in there. I might put a couple on the other side soon, just to at least the soldering of these. Once this is all assembled, I think I can solder it relatively quickly. It's just this part is murder. Toggle red. Momentary. Now I'm actually up to toggle purple, so should be paying close attention. Well, it's obviously going to be groups of 3 for obvious reasons, obviously. So that should give me kind of a visual check that I'm not missing something. All right, let's try and ease this upward. See if it'll want to stay. I highly doubt it. Okay, toggle purple. Toggle purple. It's a slightly different shade of purple. Toggle red. Some of them just fall in. Toggle red. Should have looked at this first. I can tell, looking at the pins on the bottom now, whether they're spread out too much or not. It's fairly obvious after you do enough of them. I see what people mean about the glue. I just don't, I don't know. I mean, you want it to look perfect, but there is a point. Toggle red. I suppose I could pull out the worst offenders and then fix them. And then put them back in. All right, 3 more purples. I think I'm gonna start doing them in groups of 3 so that I don't have to think that much. Should have tweaked it. Okay, I'm getting there. Just have to insert another dozen or so. Okay, let's make sure these are all toggles. These are all red toggles, so that'll be the next group. I'm going to waste my time when I can see that they need to be bent. I will bend them. It's quite subtle. All right, switch up. That's the 3 reds. We're moving now. We're booking. There's a momentary purple. First one. Okay. There's 3 more purples. I hope I can get this bracket back up over those, but I really don't like. It's annoying because it's just going to pop back down again. So there's really no point in lifting it up. If there was some kind of spacer to put under there, maybe it would be worth it. But yeah, it's just going to pop back down. I think it'll be easier to pull the bracket up at the end. Again, I should have checked to see. The pins looked a little spread before I put them in. Okay. Looks kind of right. Okay, so that's all the sort of register ones, and so the rest, we've got a special momentary white for test, and that goes up. And now I got to remember to switch these around. Push down, momentary red. I set those momentary red ones aside earlier as I encountered them. Bend these in slightly. No soldering yet, other than to fix that one thing. Momentary purple. Push down. Momentary red, push up. Momentary purple, I should have one more. I don't. interesting problem. So I have one momentary red, which would go on the end. I have one toggle red, which would go there. I have one toggle purple, and I have one toggle red. So I have one I have one extra switch. It's this toggle red, and unless I've made a mistake, which is entirely possible, I might have an inaccurate set of switches. So let's take a look. Is there any place where I used a momentary purple where I shouldn't have? So there are, as far as I can tell, there are two momentary purples. There's nope, that's right. This one here, examine, and then a red, and then continue. So this is definitely a momentary purple. All of the other ones should be toggles. So the other possibility is that I accidentally put a momentary where I should have put a toggle. So we're just gonna toggle all of the purples. There we go. There's my mistake. So nope. It was my mistake. Let's pull this guy out. And we will put in the toggle instead. Someday there will be soldering. Okay. I might as well check all of these. Make sure I put them in the correct direction. Okay. And then is that the white one goes up, and then the rest go, no, not, they don't all go down. So white goes up. Actually, let me just put these in. Momentary purple, push down. So that way I can just test them all in one go instead of having to come back again. Toggle red, push down. It's all about the switches, baby. And then a momentary red, push down. Okay. Did I bend that too far? It's got to be the last one, you know? Who's the last one that doesn't want to go? Seriously. All right, there we go. Come on. Go in. Go in there, you piece of junk. Okay, so just to check the answer key here. The white one is momentary up. Then we have push down, red, momentary, and then we have momentary purple down. Then we have momentary red up, and then we have momentary purple down, and then we have toggle red down, and then we have toggle purple down, and then we have momentary red down. Okay, so that is everything incorrectly, I do believe. One spare. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this goes somewhere later. All right, back to, I think I'm gonna have to toggle all these back again so that I can give them a good push. So now that I've got them more or less in the board, they're not, some of them are more and some of them are less. So I'm gonna try and finagle this bracket up to the top part of the switches. Now that they're all in, it'll be extra difficult, but also I don't have to worry about it being pushed back down by inserting more switches. So it should be doable. So worth it. Cool. All right, I managed to weasel that bracket back up toward the top of the switches. And what I want to do now is really push these fairly hard into their sockets. Some of them didn't go before, possibly because the bracket was interfering. Possibly because the pins were bent a little bit, possibly because the glue was in the way. And I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about that. I mean, they're neat enough. That actually looks pretty good. So let's see what the next step is in this process of alignment. Excuse me. So I put all 30 switches in, fitting the switch bracket. You'll have to prod the switch bracket up now and then. Do the leftmost and rightmost switch to last. Check for the right color, toggle momentary type, push up, push down. Yes, I checked all that. Press the second narrower switch bracket. Yes, the switch fixer. Tightly on top of the switches. You will not scratch the switches. You'll just see some powder from the PCB. This forces them to sit neat and straight. So, in other words, put this on there. Yes. This is a good idea. I like this. I'm liking this already. It's very satisfying to get these to line up and go through there. Cool. So I have pressed that down on top, and they're sitting neat and straight. Look at the row of switches. Are their tops lined up neatly? Perfection limiter. Remember, there's some play in switch hinges. Wobble them a bit, see if they still really line up after that if you're a perfectionist. That's just a mess with people. They got it perfect, and then you can wobble it. No! Are the sides of their switch caps neatly in line? You may have to reseat a few switches if you're a perfectionist. Do not overdo this. Many will, but don't. Look at the pictures below. Use the zip ties to clamp the switch fixer very tightly onto the row of switches. Zip tie goes over the top of the switch fixer and underneath the switch bracket at the bottom. If you put the zip ties diagonally across the switch, it will not try to find itself a way in between the switch bodies. At the time of this writing, you can only find zip ties that are too short to go around the switches. So if you rig two zip ties together, they make one long one. Good thing about this is it makes a nice 90-degree angle on two locations along the zip tie. Position these corners as per the pictures. One at the bottom, one at the top. This will help tension up the zip ties better. Okay, now comes the something or other. even more finagling, I think, is what comes next. So this is going to be a tricky one. So what's he got going on here? Zip ties. So I'm supposed to put them diagonally. What's the deal here? I guess the suggestion is somewhere like here. Underneath the switch bracket at the bottom, sure. So I would do that. I don't know, this seems long enough. This seems long enough to go through the whole thing. Doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Okay. Well, it does if you don't accidentally put it through the LED cover. This does go the whole way. It kind of. I kind of want to just put this on. I have it the wrong way around, don't I? No, this is right. Gonna not quite tighten this yet, just enough to hold it. And then I'm going to put another one, I don't know, approximately over here. Seems easy enough. I mean, and since I have extras, should have put those closer to the middle, even them out, but I think I'll put one in the middle, call it a day. I am not a perfectionist. I mean, I do really care about getting things right, but I'm also lazy, so I'm not going to like make up extra unnecessary steps here to make this perfect. I'm going to try to come up with a way to do it that's reasonable, but it's also a reasonable use of my time. And this zip tie, I screwed up, so it's a good thing that I decided I only needed 3. So I totally missed the bracket. There we go. This is a pretty reasonable design, I must say. And I could see how after doing one of these, like doing more of them would be really easy. comparatively. Tension up and wiggle the switches. They won't behave, so they fall in line. Tension up the zip ties again. Use some sticky tape to fixate the left and rightmost switches to the rest of them. Take a break. It matters ever so much. Well, I took my break yesterday. I mean, it's 11:15, and I am where I am here. Now, what's not super nice about this is they're all askew. Because of this nice bracket system, they're all equally askew. But it's an interesting problem to have. I think I was able to skew them over now so that they're straight up and down, at least to my eye. Tell you, that looks like a nice row of switches. Looks like a nice row of switches. I'm missing one. Oh, that's what I was missing. So I didn't have an extra. I was missing the end one. Push up toggle red. So fortunately, the end one can be placed in there even after you put all the ties in. Just got to be really careful. Okay, push up toggle red. There we go. That was a near miss. Okay. Just going to continue to be really careful here. It sucked to put one in upside down after all that, but that's going up, definitely. It's going in there. It's going to go in the hole this time. Everything's going to line up perfectly. I said everything's going to line up perfectly. Everything is going to line up perfectly. There we go. Right in there. Yeah, so the end ones are not properly constrained by the bracket. I think I hit limitations of how much one could spend on having this PCB manufactured. What's tricky is to push these all in all the way. They're lined up. I'm going to look at them from the top and the side, and from the side again, and from the top again. Just don't want to have the kind of unevenness that you'll be looking at forever, right? I mean, I think, how much does it matter? Because the cover goes on and then they all stick out, right? Yeah, so. All right, top view. Looks pretty good. Some wiggling necessary. It's one of the ones with a glue problem. Side or bottom view. Not 100%, but 98%, 99% now. Okay, satisfied. Take a break. It says take a break. I'm not going to take a break. I'm moving on. After you come back, check everything. Now, solder just the center pin of each switch. Then solder up the top pins, and then afterward the bottom pins. No more than a few seconds. All right. Sorry about the microphone. Oh hey, Jeff dude. Zip ties. Oh, you tightened them and they left. Huh. Yep, I just finally caught up with the chat. I was really focused on what I was doing here, but yeah, there's so much attention to this in the instructions. I think if I were to make a suggestion, it would probably be cut down the verbosity, because it makes it seem more important than it is, and I realize it's not that important, but mainly, I just wanted to make sure everything was pressed down into the holes all the way, and then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore the end ones first. I will solder all the center pins of the non-end ones, and then I'll come back and do the end ones when I can like hold on to them. And just make sure they haven't moved, jiggled. So finally. We come to some actual soldering, which was what I was going to do 3-4 hours ago, I think. Charitably call it 3, because it took me a while to get the video started. But anyway, what after this? Is this it? Wrapping up. I mean, I guess once I have the switches, I might as well finish it. Because I've leaned into the light. And I can at least bring something in to work tomorrow to demo. Told my friend Howard at breakfast that I got this thing, and he said that he almost, well, there was one time when he had the PiDP-11 instruction set memorized, because he had written a compiler for some sort of toy language, and he had to do all kinds of fancy tricks to get it to fit in the available memory, and he was well familiar with the assembly language. So he'll probably be excited to see it. We have all these former Bell Labs people. I often see them in the morning at breakfast, and don't actually work with any of them. But they're very cool people. if you are a nerd. This is where I should look up and see that somebody's going like, no, don't do that. You're doing it all wrong. These are not the easiest things to desolder. But I have done it. Okay. Smoky. Probably time to change that filter. I've never changed it. Whoever changes those. All right, now I think I'm going to do the end. Like I said, I'm going to do the end with a little bit of manual correction. Because it's quite likely that it moved. Now that I can't move any of these, I can look at them and see how badly misaligned they are. Yeah, I'm happy enough with that. Do the other end. Hey, there we go. First question somebody asked about this was, how much of it is empty space? It's not like the Altair replica, which I have sitting above me on this shelf, which is amazingly full of empty space. It's one of my favorite features of it. Cool. All right, I think those are all in. So, looks cleaner than yours. Well, that's low resolution camera. No, I think I did a decent job. I really love this solder anyway. It's great stuff. I have to use lead-free solder in the makerspace at work, and it's just like, ugh. And then people ruin the soldering irons. It's really hard to get people to take care of stuff. communal space. Especially when they may not have a lot of experience with this stuff either, so. And then they buy those damn conical tips, honestly. I could be going much faster here. Just like transition time is really slow. As I get tireder and tireder, it's like I can watch which capabilities of my brain shut down first. Definitely some motor coordination. Hopefully I won't miss any like yesterday. These are probably tight enough that most of them would be kind of making connection. And then I have some weird intermittent fault. There we go. Okay. One more row of pins, and we be jamming. I think I ran out of stories. Yeah. I seemed to be full of them yesterday. Full of something. I saw today that there was a treasure trove of Infocom stuff. Went up on GitHub. I didn't look to see if it had been taken down yet. That was this morning. Seems very likely that it will be taken down. So I think Activision has the copyright on it, but maybe I'm mistaken. There was some discussion this morning that hadn't been clear yet what the outcome of that was going to be. I think I've seen this before though, maybe somewhere around on the internet. So I could be wrong, but it seemed like it wasn't exactly new to me. that when they shut down the Infocom computer, I think it was TOPS 20 or something. Anyway, they shut it down and somebody archived the contents of the hard drive. And I think it's been floating around in one fashion or another for a while. And ended up on GitHub. I was so into Infocom when I was like a teenager. Something about that company spoke to me. The style of their games, their humor, their packaging, the MIT hacker culture. That was what I wanted. I had two what I want to be when I grow up kind of ideas. One was to work at Commodore. And the other was to work at Infocom. Or at least be part of that kind of MIT crowd. I was like a Steve Moretsky fanboy. All the Steve Moretsky games were just the coolest. You know, and of course Hitchhiker's Guide. Douglas Adams was just a friggin' genius. That collaboration was astounding. So being able to look at the source code for that stuff is pretty cool. Okay, now what? Back to the instructions. Okay, so having done that, is there any more testing? Not really. You can't pry the switch bracket down and then clip off the zip ties. Just a point of order. I think that would be physically impossible. I'm going to clip off the zip ties first. Remove the top holder piece there. And then pry down this part. There we go. I wanted so much to be like those I think inspired by the Infocom games, but then I started learning more about, like, you know, the hacker ethic and the whole MIT thing and their, you know, pranks and stuff there. So that was where I wanted to go, to college. And I applied there, and they have part of their admission process is you interview with an alum. They find somebody like near you who does an interview, and then I guess that goes, you know, that's part of the stuff they take into consideration. So, you know, I wrote the application and all that, and then they had me go to Albany and meet with this guy, and just, you know, chat for a while. And we got to talking. He's like, asked one of the questions was like, well, why do you want to go to MIT? And I was like, well, because all the coolest people went there. It just seems it's associated with all these works of genius. And, you know, beyond all the amazing computer science, it just seems to have produced the most interesting people, like, you know, companies like Infocom and, you know, my favorite Infocom author, Steve Moretsky. And he goes, "Oh, I knew Steve. Yeah, we're friends." And I was just like, jaw dropped. I was like, "You know Steve Moretsky?" That was the coolest thing to me. And we started chatting about this whole thing and my interest in the, you know, the stuff. And I think it went really well because the guy was like, you know, I'm not really supposed to say anything, but yeah, I think, you know, I'm going to definitely give you a strong recommendation. Of course, I didn't get in, so I have. In fact, I had it's right here. Right here. Oh. This is my MIT rejection letter. I keep it framed on the wall. Yes. There's no way I can lessen your disappointment, but I urge you to read this letter to gain a context with which to understand our decision. Their loss. Anyway. Back to assembly. Wrapping it up. Secure the Pi in its place using the 3 blah-de-blah-de-blah. I guess that means plug it back in. Where'd I put it? Where did I put my Raspberry Pi? Did I leave it attached to the back the whole time? No. No. Put it down somewheres. I lost my computer. Has anyone seen my computer? Where's my computer? Seriously. Oh, I found it. I found it. It's back here. Ta-da! Okay, so let's reattach the Raspberry Pi, this time remembering to use this special high-tech insulation device. Put that in there. Now I think I'm going to have to leave a little bit of room. So we need, what do we need here for parts? We need, I might be done with the soldering iron. These nylon spacers. What do you say? 3. All right, let's read this. It says use the 3 M2.5 bolts on the front of the PCB, the nylon M2.5 hex spacers at the back, and the 3 M2.5 nuts at the back of the Pi. So these, I guess, are the M2.5 nuts, yes. Okay, and then these would be the bolts. And so I guess the plan is going to be to put these guys in there. I thought I left room. Do it over. Repeat this till you get it right. So bent. The pins are so bent. Yeah. Lost some of my spacers. Which one should I? The Pi header has a non-standard height, and therefore you will need to snap off about 2 millimeters from the nylon spaces with a side cutter. This does not need to be very precise. The bolt will catch the spacer anyway. Well, okay. Did you ever have like one of those things where it's like read all the instructions before beginning? I think that was I had a chemistry teacher in high school. It was the first time I saw that joke. You know, they give you a test and it says read all instructions before beginning. Or maybe just read everything before beginning, whatever it is. Anyway, the point is to say, it says to read the whole thing. And then it goes into the questions. And then somewhere in the middle of the questions, you know, I don't know, has you doing strange things. Cluck like a chicken or something. And then, and at the very end, and like the back of the, you know, page 3, the last thing it says is disregard all even numbered questions or something like that, you know. So the gag being, if you read all the, it's hilarious, isn't it? If you read everything before beginning, then you wouldn't be making those chicken noises. She was a laugh a minute. Only time I ever got thrown out of a class, sent to the principal's office, in fact. Twice, actually, I guess, in my school career. I've lost one of these. I took the 3 out of the bin, and now they've probably like slid or rolled around, and now I only have 2. I think one time in elementary school, I remember the bully, like the local bully, as bullies are wont to do, you know, for no particular reason, threw something at me in the lunchroom. Oh, there it is. It's sitting right there. Some sort of a beverage, you know. He threw his juice at me or something, and I was very upset because we both got in trouble for that. I didn't do anything. My crime was merely existing. But they had a policy that if there's any kind of a fight, then everyone involved in the fight is equally responsible. Only used 2. Well, this is my problem. I don't look up at the screen. That's okay. This will be fine. Far corner seems like a good place, and the other far corner seems like a good place, right? And then, yeah, why would I bother with another one? I think I'm just going to use 2 as well. Yeah, maybe, what the heck, I've got it. I'll just put 1 here. I mean, I guess in theory, it helps keep the thing plugged in. Whatever. Don't want to forget my insulationizer. Yeah, so the damn kid threw his juice at me, and I got like suspended or something. We were like suspended for 2 days. How was that my fault? This chemistry teacher, man, did she hate me. I took way too much. I might not be able to put any of these in. I took way too much off those. That's probably okay because, yeah, I don't know how I eyeballed that in a really ineffective way. Also, I put those in backwards. But I think I can fix this. Ah, you cut it too short. Well, I cut all of mine too short, Jeff dude. But because I have too many things, I strongly suspect that I got some more. Oh, look at this. A kit of standoffs. Measure, cut. In fact, I think, well, this is a different size though. These are not 2.5. So if I do that, such dilemmas. Do I have that size? I do, they're just in black. Probably look nicer. Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird thing because I thought I held the thing up to see how big they had to be, but I was obviously not thinking that through at all. Okay, so these are too big, those are too small, but I'm gonna make my own fun here. This is really like, it's frustrating because I'm basically done and I'm wasting time in a pointless and stupid way. The holes are too small for me to use these black standoffs, which is too bad because they really would work nicely, but they're not gonna go through there. So we'll put those away. Then I have these, but they're screws, they're not standoffs. And then I have white ones, but they are like 2mm, not 2.5mm. And I don't have the right screws for them. I really thought that I would, I just would have some spares. So, what am I gonna do? Plan, what's the plan? Come on. If I put that in there, that's like the right, that's the height of the ones after I cut them. Weird. What? Wait, what did I just do? I'm so confused. Took one of those out of there. Stuck it in there to see how tall it is. I think that's the right height. Okay. So, yeah, we can do it that way. I think we can do it that way. I will put, yeah. Sorry, I'm just, brain not working, tired, very tired. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put these, should do this on camera, I'm going to put these on. I have these spacers here. I'm almost positive that they're almost exactly right. A lot of almosts in there. And I have all these nylon parts, so not a problem at all. In fact, I can go back to my toolkit here and maybe save a little bit of time if one of these fits on there. Looks like maybe this one. No, next biggest one up. Yes, cool. Okay, so I can use this tool to screw this on. There we go. All right, so what I need to do is grab 2 more of those and a couple more of those nuts and get these out of the way because they're bad. There's no reason this won't work. Put this back in the parts bin. I'm gonna have to order more of those. This is where they come from, because I get into a project like this and I'm like, I really wish I had some standoffs and spacers. And then you order a bunch of standoffs and spacers. Before you know it, you've got a drawer full of standoffs and spacers. And oh my. All right, so I'm going to start by putting these onto the Pi this way. I think this makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And then I will stick it onto the board, and then I will put screws through from the other side, and the bin of stuff that I just put away contains the screws that I need. Because, you know, when you clean up, that's what happens when you clean the place up. Okay. Tighten that a little bit, and then one more. Ay, ay, ay. It wouldn't really matter. I mean, who cares how long this takes? It's just that I feel I'm wasting a lot of, you know, bandwidth. Like the internet is, all the paper tape that YouTube stores these videos on is being wasted by me being so slow, and then I'm trying to speed up, and as I try to speed up, I make more and more mistakes. Like I just did, that's a mistake there. I put that in the wrong place. I didn't want to put 2 of these next to the connector. I wanted to put one of them on the far side where Gary Larson lives. It's more likely to do some good in terms of structural integrity. Okay. Can't wait to see this all together with the lights blinking. That would be a nice denouement. We're almost there. I can feel it. In my experience, these problems can always be attributable to human error. Okay. Push down. Push down some more. Push down even more. Yeah, those could have been a little bit longer, but in this case, it doesn't matter. Like it says in the instructions, the screws will pick it up. These screws will particularly pick it up because these screws are friggin' huge. And the only sensible thing to do is trim these screws. Bolts, screws, bolts. Those bolts go into a nut, right? And the screws go into the actual thing. Is that the difference? I don't remember. I used to know things. Okay. Since I'm having so much fun with this little screwdriver set, I will pick out a little screwdriver. How about this one? That feels about right. Put that in there. Get the cutters back out of the drawer. Every time I put something away, I regret it. Let's trim one of these. This time I'll be slightly smart. And I'm not going to trim them all right away. Can't reach the holes with this LED cover on. Somebody should have warned me. Come on, Chris, you can do it now. You're so close to finishing this project. I'll have to come back later because I definitely want the serial port. And I think I have all that stuff somewhere. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I'll just cut these two. Approximately good enough. And approximately good enough. All right. Get this through the screw hole. Not like this is going anywhere. Yeah, that's just, it's actually too much. Okay. And the last one. Last one is over here. Oh, so my science teacher. Do I remember her name? Chemistry teacher. High school. First teaching job, I feel like. She came from industry. She was very into safety, I remember that. Because she had a bomb calorimeter explode in her face where she worked. But first teaching job, maybe it was middle school. Was it middle school? Don't remember. Those days, I didn't enjoy any of that. It's definitely not the best days of my life. I was happy to get the hell out of there. But she hated me. She had it in for me right from the start. I don't know why. I mean, I was a nerd. I was into science. I was a great student to have. All my other science teachers thought I was great. And I was. She didn't like me. We're doing phases of matter, you know, solid, liquid, gas, whatever, plasma. And I asked this question. I was like, and it was a legitimate question. I just was like, I raised my hand and she said, what? You know, I said, what phase of matter is fire? It seemed like an interesting question to me. It didn't make sense. So I said, what phase of matter is fire? And she said, get out. Go stand in the hallway. I think my soldering iron is reminding me that it was turned on. She threw me out of the class and made me go stand in the hallway. Like 3 times I got in trouble for stuff like that. I didn't do anything wrong. I think she just didn't want to answer my question, I guess. Okay, so I did that part. Let's look over here. Did you insulate the metal PCB and Ethernet connectors? Yes, I did. So now we put the 5 M3 bolts in the PCB so they come out at the front. Put the 5 M3 nuts on the front side, leaving about 1 millimeter of space between the nut and the PCB. So the bolts are now fixed to the PCB, but rattle a bit. Good. Explanation. The M3 nuts plus the brass spacers that are already in the case together provide the right 12.4 millimeter spacing between PCB and acrylic front panel. Okay. I believe you. So I have over here what looks to be 5 3 millimeter nerts. And those would seem to go with these 5 bolts. There. I don't have to get my pudgy little fingers in there. Now, what am I supposed to do again with these things? Put them in so they come out the front. Yeah, like that. And then put these on. Uh-huh. Like this, you say. Sure. And then leave a little space to rattle. About 1 millimeter of space. I'm supposed to just eyeball that. 1 millimeter, and the spacing will be perfect. I guess. I mean, if I didn't want to see this damn thing work soon, I imagine I have a 1 millimeter feeler gauge or something. Probably a couple of feet to my left. I get up for work in 5.5 hours. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there it is. It's under the board. This is it, though, right? After this, you mount the PCB in the case. Just in case. I found you just in case. I should have configured Wi-Fi. Shouldn't I have? Oh well. That's about 1 millimeter, sure. How about that one? Back it off a little. Back it off! Back it off! Jerky Boys, awnings. Okay. Now it goes in the case. Mount the PCB in the case, screwing the 5 bolts onto the spacers. Just before you tighten the bolts, check for neat alignment between the rows of switches and the V-shaped bulge in the case. Well, I would say, if I were a cynical person, that's a slightly late stage to check for alignment. If it don't align, tough cookies. Okay. I need a screwdriver. I need an adult. Let's go with this one. That's a decent one. Maybe this one. Hello. I realize you're not in there. I just thought you'd stay precariously balanced. Because I'm too lazy to just put this down. There we go. Earlier, it's so much slower. I'm about to get to the most fun part. I hope the most fun part is not screwing this into the front, to the case. I hope it's turning it on. IPL. Because I can see how getting this freaking thing to line up could be considered to be a gigantic pain in the ass. If your sarcasm circuits are the same as mine, it could be described as fun. This is a strange, I mean, mechanically this is quite strange. No, that went right in. Since I'm screwing these in blindly, I just have to assume that it's all great. Everything's perfect. It totally doesn't feel like it's cross-threaded. Something's happening. They're tightening up. Tighten up. Do the fish stick. I don't like that one. Because it went too fast, but it's definitely in there. Okay. Don't need to over tighten, just want to feel like it's in there. Okay, now I say just before you tighten the bolts, oops, check for neat alignment. So, yeah, I don't know. That's pretty good. I mean, there's a tiny little bit of, but there's a little bit of play in them anyway, like you said, so you can actually kind of finagle. I think the camera makes this look misaligned when in reality, what the eye don't see, the chef gets away with. Well, that's not good. Oh, maybe that, did that bracket move? Did that bracket fucking move? Move up? Yeah, it did. How do you keep that bracket from, I guess it naturally will stay down if you don't, like it could settle in shipping. So the switch bracket pushed itself back up toward the top of the switches, and it was causing some of the switches to catch. I was worried there because first thing I did was toggle this one and it didn't pop back up, but it was not catching on the case, it was catching on the switch bracket. So kind of weird. How do you know which ones go up and which ones go down? It just seems relatively arbitrary. Anyways, okay, that's in. Sorry, I got distracted. Get distracted by toggling. What do we do now? Here we go. Boom. The switch stick out of the case. They're too. Everything's fine. I'm not even going to read that troubleshooting because that'll just give me ideas. As the case of PiDP-11 is exact replica of the original bezel, it will not stay upright if you toggle the switches. They simply protrude far from the case's center of gravity. Yes, the PiDP-11 is the first self-toppling desktop computer. The included base mount is made for this, so place it underneath. Yeah, the wood thing. Okay, fine. This can wait, though. Mount the two knobs on the rotary encoders. Yes, totally forgot to do that. And they have a set screw. Fine. I gotta change my screwdriver bit to account for the tiny set screw. Can I do it with this one? Yes. Back it out. Back it out. Put that in there. Don't tighten it yet. Lift up slightly. Push button works. Tighten it, tighten it, tighten it. There we go. Good enough. And one more. Put that on. Partially tighten the screw. There we go. Get it started. Lift up. Tighten it reasonably well. Nope. Trying to find the flat spot there. There we go. Happy with that. Get the screwdriver in there properly. Tighten away. Cool. Happy. Okay, what do we got next? There can't. What have we got next? Oh, I didn't have it on video. Sorry, that was me adjusting these. I put these on. Okay, next comes the back panel with its 4 big screws. Yay. Back panel makes me happy because it sounds like we're really almost there. So I will be in this thing a few times, but hopefully we can yeah, power. I'm going to want to attach power. Do I have a conveniently located USB mini extension? I kind of do. Don't mind me. I'm just on the other side of the room digging things out of storage. I have all kinds of cables and connectors. So I will come over here. And we'll see what we can find together. Could use something like that. These are back panel connectors. That could be a good one. Could definitely be a good one. But what I would really like would be a mini, micro. I'm saying mini, but I'm meaning micro. Micro USB, like power switchy thing. Oh, this is a good one. This might be what I'll use for now, temporarily. And then eventually I'll mount the back panel connectors correctly, because I want this to be really nice and neat. But I think, let's see if I have one that's already open. Nope. I think I have a plan. Let's see how this works out. This place could be a Radio Shack. All right, so my theory here is, if this happens to be the right length, it'll probably work. So I can plug this in there, and then I can poke this through the back, and it's got a switch on it too. And then I will eventually do something else. Does he say what these knockouts are intended for? I guess I could make a new one of these if I really decide not to use them. Lead the method, power, HDMI, power. I mean, I know I will eventually put, I don't want to knock out unnecessarily and have a big hole in it, but let's have like an Ethernet. I'll probably use that. It's a bit non-standard, but stop waffling, Master. Just do something. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Because I mean, I have a laser cutter. I can make a new back panel. I am certain that I will eventually use this. I will eventually use this knockout because I'm totally going to put a DB25. Should I do it from this side? This is really hard. This is not cut through nearly as much as I thought it would be. Can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to get a thin blade of this knife through this incredibly small cut. And I'm not having much luck. There we go. That popped through fine. Didn't break it. There we go. Boom. Okay. Because, you know, power, you got to be able to plug it in, or it ain't going to go. It won't chooch, as they say. Accidentally dropped that inside there. All right, so I probably punched out the wrong one. Depending. I don't know. This is another one. Like, what's the orientation for this thing? Good enough. All right, so that'll be the way they'll have the panel go, and then this power connector thing, we'll just stick that through there. We'll plug this into the Raspberry Pi. Very hard to do. Is that power? I don't even know if that's, can't see anything. USB connectors suck. Come on, you bastard. There we go. Right, vicious bastard. All right, got that in. There's no slack. Yep, there's the back panel. There's the screws. These are big old screws. I'm gonna maybe get a big old screwdriver. Unless I have a, no, these are tiny. This is for delicate electrics. This guy ought to work. Okay. Now I'm supposed to put the screws in, put the spurs to her. Wow, this is, that screw seems like it's way bigger than it needs to be for the job, but that's fine. Fully assemble everything before testing. Super important. Now the biggest problem here is that I hope that this is kind of like the 8 was, where you could I think you could sort of choose what to boot into with some of the front panel switches. Maybe? If I'm lucky? Maybe? Because otherwise, I have no way to log into this Pi without taking these screws back out. Kind of don't care right now, because all I want to do is I want to see it boot up, I want to see the lights flash, single step something. If it weren't 12:30 in the morning, then I'd open up the manual and I'd toggle in some kind of program. Okay, folks, if anybody's waited this long, as I've gradually become slower and slower and stupider, I do believe that is the end of the minimum amount of assembly required to get to a working product. So what I'm going to do is make myself a little bit of space here. It's because I've been shoving things to the side while I've been doing this. The gloves come off. I haven't been doing any soldering for a while. Move that out of the way. Okay, and then I need to go get, do I know? I have it right here. Hopefully this USB thing won't be as loose as it was before. I don't know why I could, yeah. Connect that in there, connect my power supply. Gotta untangle it. So I threw everything up here. Got it all tied up with the multimeter. Okay. Light this candle, yes, I know. Come on, man, how much longer can you possibly take? Just a slight moment longer as I try to get a nice view. Turn off the light here. Turn off my maybe unnecessary overlay from the multimeter. Okay, here we go. I should just need to turn the switch on the back, or on this power cable. It's kind of on the back. Nothing's happening. Is that on or off? Can't tell. Ah, I switched it off. There we go. Now it's on. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. Okay. And away we go. Hey, look at that. Something's happening. I suspect it might even be the thing that's supposed to be happening. Lights be blinking. So yeah. I don't know what this runs when it starts up. I haven't read the manual. I haven't done any studying. but I do know from before that test these guys, they work. And I think this is the test switch. Yeah, so if I hold that up, lamp test, all of the LEDs are working. And I don't know, is there anything? I guess I can probably press halt. Yep. Halt. Continue. Start. Continue. I don't know how to operate this thing. I don't know, man. Start? No. I probably broke it. I've never done a PiDP-11. I've only done the PiDP-8. Oh, stuff's happening. Well, there we go. It's built. Yeah, I'm gonna hook up the key switch to the soft power off because I do like to shut the thing down properly. Raspberry Pis have a nasty habit of crapping out in that way. And then, yeah, I don't know. Can I do just like, is it halted? I don't really know. Examine. Okay, so that's working in the way I am accustomed to, I suppose. Except I expect when I hit load add, well, I don't know, this thing's complicated, right? So I would have thought when I hit load address, I would expect to see these zeros show up somewhere. Oh, and now that's sticking again. That's annoying. That switch is sticking. It's an important switch, too. Thank you, Jeff Dude. I am very excited to have this thing. So, I will have to, at some point soon, trying to resist going and starting to read the manual. Oh, maybe this is the problem. I don't know. Neat. All right, so totally distracted. Okay, whoever 6 people are who are still on the stream, yeah, there's what it takes to put together the PiDP-11 kit. I guess if I were to do a quick sort of impromptu review of the assembly process, because I haven't actually played with the thing itself. Not that bad. I mean, it's very similar to the PiDP-8. It's just, you know, putting a lot of components in and a lot of through-hole soldering. So I do like the fact that it's got this it's got the little bracket to help align the switches. I think that I'm really happy to not have to like mount blocks of wood and drill holes in the case. So that's super helpful. And then, yeah, I guess this is the display stand. so that keeps it from falling over. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's gorgeous, and it will go nicely in here with the PiDP-8, the Altair 8800 replica, and you know, the other non-vintage, retro-y, fakey stuff. One day I have this. You know, I'm not gonna start talking because it's late. I'm tired. I have to shut up. So, goodbye. I will be back for sure. I want to put the serial ports and things on the back of this thing. But for now, I am pretty satisfied. So, adios. How do I stop this crazy thing?